Welcome to the Home Services Home Show, where you learn everything you need to.
And a whole lot you don't.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Today we're going to talk, well, I don't know, do we want to talk basketball at all?
We can. I mean, it was a fun game to watch. Houston coming back, and
I went to bed.
that was the funnest game I've watched.
I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to bed. Duke's got this in hand. Good night, which is perfect for me because I've got two brackets. One bracket, Duke winning. One bracket, Florida winning. So I'm like, I'm going to have Florida and Duke
right.
playing each other. Either one of them win, I win. I still have a chance to win, but Florida has to beat Houston. Who knows?
Right. You know, my wife goes, why do we watch a whole basketball game when it comes down to the last minute anyway? She goes, and then it never works. Like, teams never come back. Then it never changes. They foul and they do all this stuff, and it never matters until it does.
You know, at the end of the game, when you're scrambling and you need to hit a couple big threes, and you do,
right? Then you get a turnover,
and then a couple guys miss free.
That turnover was huge.
Free throws are everything,
right?
But they miss free throws too. No. Can't miss free throws.
That was like the Badgers' demise at the last couple games of the year. They were so solid all year long shooting free throws.
Best in the country. Maybe we're on a pace to have the best free throw percentage in NCAA history, and they kind of dropped off
at the end there.
Not like they were bad.
No.
But anyway.
We started seeing that last Big Ten championship game.
Mm-hmm.
Tired legs. And then it kind of all just – but anyway. Yeah.
That game was horrible.
Free throws.
On both sides, that game.
Free throws win championships, right? Like,
right.
Big
so
anyway, it was a fun game to watch.
It was. But what we want to talk about today is storm damage on your roof.
Well, you talk about an industry that's changing a ton.
Big time.
I don't even think people have an idea of the amount of things that are changing behind the scenes.
I mean, we know a lot of companies that do a lot of storm restoration work. And even in the ones that we know do it, they're trying to get away from it.
Right.
It's getting harder and harder. I mean, how many billions of dollars in roofs have been replaced with a little bit of hail damage and a $500 deductible?
Right.
They've built mega roofing companies.
Yeah, you can't. There's no good common sense for an insurance company to pay $500 for a $20,000 roof.
No,
doesn't make any sense.
I mean, it worked okay, but now weather patterns are changing, and what we're finding out, and from our insurance guy, is that in the Midwest, particularly Wisconsin and Minnesota, insurance has been underfunded when it comes to this type of stuff.
Correct.
Because we didn't have a lot of hailstorms. There was not a lot of hail damage. So, you know, that $500, $1,000 deductible with recoverable depreciation, that's something we should probably talk about too. But it's very much changing. I sent you a picture of a letter that my father received.
That was spooky.
It's very to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Basically stating, hey, if you get hail, we're going to give you what it's worth now, depreciated. There's no recoverable depreciation, and we're going to raise your rates.
And your rates go up
25%.
And your deductibles go up too.
His deductible already went up. So now, if people don't understand,
so should we back up and talk?
Where should we start?
We should back up to how did this? Yeah, there's a lot to unravel here. Maybe we do a 2-part segment here, but let's talk about how insurance actually works. Right, there's a couple points to it. Right, so when people paid, we talk about deductibles.
Mm-hmm.
Forever, it was $500 or $1,000 was your normal household.
It wasn't uncommon to see 500.
No, that was pretty normal, right? So if you had an event, you had a tree fall in your house, you had hail, you had something happen. You let's say your bill was $10,000. They would deduct your $500 off there, and you get a check for $9,500.
Simple.
It was simple, and then some stuff started happening. Then also they started all going to $1,000 deductibles and maybe $2,000 deductibles. Yeah, but it's still not bad, right? So if I get a $20,000 roof, I got to pay $2,000 deductible. I still get $18,000.
Yeah, and for the most part, up until probably the last 5 to 8 years, most people's homeowners insurance policies weren't more than $1,500 a year.
No. Yeah, that's
12.
The policies were cheap.
900.
Right? Correct.
I mean, I can remember my first homeowners policy in the Madison area was $990 a year, and I had a $500 deductible.
Yeah.
That's gone.
That's never coming back, right?
That's gone.
So the rates alone have gone up, which that I mean that's understandable. But one of the things, the tools they've used is the deductible,
Mhm.
right? So 500, $1,000, $1,500. That was always a similar like easy change, right? But now they've gone to and you can't control it. They've went to a percentage of your home's value,
Which
either a 1 or 2%
yes. Which we saw a lot. That's been very common practice
last couple of years.
south
Yes.
in the southern United States, where hail was like,
Texas,
it's not
Oklahoma.
if, it's when you're going to get hit.
Yep.
It's so they started going to percentages, and I've actually seen them as high as 4% of your home value.
Right.
Okay, 4%. What's an average home now? 350,000.
Let's say
Like 4%.
right.
Look at
Let's
that $10,000-$12,000 deductible. Now let's say you have a $20,000 roof.
Right.
You're only going to get like $8,000.
Right.
So it really deters people, and it doesn't deter, but it makes it hard for contractors to come in and like get an iffy claim approved.
Right.
Because let's be honest,
There was a lot of roof.
there's a lot of iffy claims.
Right.
I've seen some damage where insurance companies approved it, and I'm like, come on.
Right. You almost felt bad.
Is that even hail?
Throwing it in the dumpster, right?
Exactly. Like this roof could last easily another 10 years, but it is what it is. So for my father, he got a letter last year saying that he was going to a percentage, 1.5% of the value of his home. So we started doing some math.
So $300,000 house, he's paying a $4,500 deductible.
Yep. Which now, let's say you have a $20,000 roof and they're going to replace the whole thing. You pay $4,500. It's still not a horrible deal.
No, you got to come up with $15,000.
They're going to give you $15,000.
Yeah, they're gonna give you $15,000.
So it's not horrible. But now let's take into account depreciation and recoverable depreciation.
Yeah, why don't you explain that? 'Cause that's a big one.
So when they come out, they're going to depreciate your roof, meaning they're going to estimate the age of it. And I'm not sure exactly what a full depreciation, is it 20 years is what I think they usually go off about 20 years.
Yep.
So let's say, we're estimating your roof is 10 years old. So the value to replace your roof, easy math, is $20,000. We're saying it's 10 years old. So we're going to depreciate it and say it's worth $10,000. Now, what happens so often is that people would say, the roof ain't that bad. I'll just take the 10 grand. Actually, they'd probably get like 9 grand minus the deductible. We're just not going to replace our roof. So there's something called recoverable depreciation, meaning if you have damage and they say, yep, we're going to replace your roof, you only get the recoverable depreciation after you prove that you had the work
done. Which was right, because people were buying
100%.
boats and snowmobiles and motorhomes. It was
because if you think about it, okay, your roof just got hit. Your roof's worth 20 grand or 20 grand to replace, but it's 10 years old. So we're only going to give you 10 minus your deductible. You're going to get a check for 9. They didn't really care what you did with the money. Honestly, right. Your home is devalued that much. You can take money and do whatever you want with it. But oops, sorry about that. If another event happens, now they're not going to replace anything. Nope. So you're really taking a chance.
And if you didn't fix it and then water comes in the inside and you neglected to do it, now it's all on you.
Good luck.
So it's a dangerous game to play.
Yeah, good luck trying to convince them on that one. So the recoverable depreciation is a big thing that we've had to explain to homeowners a lot, because they'll get the scope of work from the insurance company and be like, well, I'm only getting 8 grand. You're only getting 8 grand now. Once the work is done, you're going to get the other 8 grand. But that's starting to go away too.
Change too.
What they're doing is they're putting stipulations on it and saying, if your roof is older than X amount of years old, there's no more recoverable depreciation. Although that letter my father just got didn't say anything about
the
that.
age. No.
It was just period.
It's gone.
No recoverable depreciation, and your deductible is 1.5%.
Right.
And it's not like it's a very reputable insurance. It's not like it's some cheap.
No,
deal.
It's
not.
No, not at all.
So that's what people need to understand. And I urge people, if you have gotten letters or get letters from your insurance company, open it.
You know what I'm really good at?
It's not a bill.
Yeah.
Chuck it. My father reads everything, and then he will file everything. and he's actually reaching out to his agent. He's taken about 3 more steps than I ever would have.
Right.
Actually, opening it would be the first one.
First step for you would be a good
But
one.
that's all they have to do is send you a letter and
Right.
go, this is your
This is what's going to happen.
This is your policy change.
Well, and people that had this happened last year, especially down by you. We had some that hail down here, southern Wisconsin.
Oh, we saw it.
They didn't know this was going to happen to them, and then the insurance company's like, "Well, we told you."
We had a couple customers that exact same thing. Their recoverable depreciation had went away, and they had no idea.
No idea.
But they reached out to their insurance company, and yeah, we sent you the letter.
Right.
They just probably didn't open it. Thought it was junk mail.
So again, let's do an example for people so they understand it. So let's take that's $20,000 roof,
Yep.
and then we're gonna move on to what happens if something does happen, because that's the next step. So you have a $20,000 roof, and let's say it's less than 10 years old. Let's say there is recoverable depreciation. Okay, they're gonna take off. They may take off $6,000, $8,000, $9,000 off of the payouts. Now you got $12,000. Right, you get subtract your deductible with thousands. Now I done 11,
Mhm.
so you're gonna check for $11,000, and then but once it's done, they're gonna give you the check back for that other.
Yeah, that initial check is to get the project started.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Give your contractor. Then you got to make sure you get the work done. Once the work is done, they will send a check for the rest of it.
Right, but now if that recovered depreciation goes away, that same $20,000 roof, if they say it's only worth 10, right, and your deductible is now your dad's roof is $4,500, he's gonna check for
Well, do the
$500.
math on that one. So they deemed my father's roof to be about 17 years old.
Right.
So
Jeez.
you depreciate that. Let's just say if he's lucky, they're going to value his roof at, and he probably has about a $20,000 roof. Probably value his roof somewhere around $5,000,
Probably his deductible is $4,500.
4,500. I would estimate he'd get a check for between $500 and $1,000.
Right.
That's it. So you basically if in a hail event,
He's gonna end up
basically uninsured.
he's gonna end up buying his own new roof.
His own new roof.
Right.
100%.
Well, and we're starting to see that with insurance companies sending people letters like, "Hey, we know your roof's old. You either got to fix it, or we're dropping you.
Or we're just dropping you.
Correct.
Yeah.
You either got to replace it, or we're dropping you," which is crazy. But you think about it, they can't keep losing money every single year after year after year after year after year.
It's funny is that
They're like Vegas.
for the most part,
They don't ever lose.
don't like insurance companies, but when we actually look at it from the business side of it, some of the big 3 insurance companies have showed billion-dollar losses multiple years in a row.
Right.
And they can't
do that.
There's been a lot of natural disasters, and then when you take a whole portion of the country that really their rates and premiums were just underinsured. People weren't being charged enough because, I mean, what was our biggest weather event? A tornado. I mean,
right.
if a tornado comes, what it usually hits a few homes.
Well,
and
it hits 2 things: farms and trailer
that's
parks.
basically it.
And trailer parks, right? Like,
I mean, but that's the truth.
right?
It's rare that we have one go through a city.
No,
It just never happens.
it never goes to Middleton or doesn't go to
Doesn't.
Waunakee, nothing
No,
like that, right?
it doesn't seem to ever happen. It hits rural stuff. So the insurance rates were fine, and they're not anymore.
Right.
So there's a couple things to remember. Really reach out to your agent and really look at what your coverage is now.
Well, ask them now.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Ask them. Are we still doing recoverable depreciation? Sometimes they're putting,
What's my deductible?
what's my deductible? Sometimes they're putting extra deductibles just on your roof.
Right.
I mean, think about it. Your roof's really exposed. If we get weather,
It's gonna get it.
it's going to get hit. So make sure you know what you're at. Now we talk about what happens if you do get hit.
Because what we just talked about changes the game. The history of storm companies, right? They always come in, a storm would hit, and these guys are really good. I mean, we're not one, right? That's not how we built the business.
No,
But the ones
we're
that are
really
good-
bad. We're really good at fixing roofs. We're really bad at the whole
storm thing. But that's
storm
not
thing.
who we want to
It's
be
not
either.
what we are. We don't really knock on doors. It's not really what we
But the guys that are good at it, we're really, really, really good at it, right?
still really good at.
They would come into your neighborhood and they would say, "Hey, we're gonna get you a roof and get you for insurance money."
Well, a couple years ago, one hit up in La Crosse.
Yep.
And we were up there trying to get back to some of our existing customers. And I'm saying this storm hit like on a Saturday evening. And I swear on Monday, they were roofing.
They're roofing already.
They were already roofing because they're good at it.
Right.
But what are they good at?
Right. They're good at doing the roofs for insurance money.
And installing fear.
Correct.
I'm not saying all of them. Just saying if a storm hits on a Saturday night, there's no reason to replace that roof on Monday
Monday morning, right?
Like,
Unless you have trees in your roof.
Unless you got a hole, right? Unless that hail hit your roof and landed in your living room,
It's not gonna leak.
you're not gonna leak. Now, I have seen stories where, like down in
Cattle
Texas and
killers?
Colorado,
Oh, yeah.
legit landed, went through people's, completely through their roofs and landed in their living room.
Right. But so if you think about it, so the game has always been the storm chase companies. They get to your neighborhoods, they knock on the doors, they sell these roofs saying, "Hey, we're gonna get you we're gonna get your roof insurance money."
Mhm.
And up until now, until the game has changed, like we just talked about, it probably worked for them, right? That wasn't our That's not our philosophy, but that's not our experience, but it worked for them. But now what happens now with the higher deductibles, no recoverable depreciation? How is that gonna happen anymore? They're not gonna be able to do it for that.
It's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be different.
It's the ones that are really, really good at it will still do it because they're good at fighting with
Right.
insurance companies. We don't do that.
But you said something earlier. A lot of companies will drive on fear, and that's the first thing we tell people. If a weather event happens, take a deep breath,
Yes.
relax.
You might have multiple people knocking on your door.
Well,
And
you will.
okay, you will. Like if we get a clear-cut hail event, you're gonna have people knocking on your door, maybe within hours of that storm being done.
Correct.
Don't freak out. You do not don't sign a contingency contract. Don't do any of that. Just wait for the dust to settle.
Right.
Wait for your roof to dry off, for
Right.
one thing, because if the roof is wet and they go and inspect it and they're like, you got hail damage everywhere, you can't even see it if it's wet.
hard to see
It's really hard to see it, especially if it's like borderline.
Correct.
It's super hard to see it unless it's dry. But people just calm down, take a deep breath, let the storm chasers kind of do their thing and go away.
Yep.
And this is just, yes, we are a locally run business who's been in the area doing business all over Wisconsin for years. But I'm saying this as a homeowner. Just wait and find a reputable company in your area that can do the work and is going to be there after the storm settles, after everybody goes away, so that if you have issues in the future, you actually have somebody you can call.
Right.
Because really good storm chasing companies, if a big storm hits, they will come into an area, they will open up a satellite office, they'll say we're local, we're right here, here's our address,
Here's a phone
and they
number.
will be there maybe for 18 months.
Then
And
they're
then
gone.
gone on to the next storm. And if you are a storm chasing company, I'm not saying that you do a bad job. I'm not saying that. But some of the stuff we've seen by some has been questionable. And then there's nobody for the homeowner to reach out to when that job is
And then they're helpless.
Then they're helpless. So when we talk about our restore jobs, this is where a lot of them come from.
And they're not that old.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's my point. We go to a roof that's 3, 4, 5, 6 years old and it's leaking and they think they need a new roof. You don't need a new roof. You just need your roof fixed up a little. You need it restored because they didn't do the critical details because they wanted to slap your roof on, get the insurance money, and get out of town. Again, that's not everybody, but it's some. But if you're a reputable company and you're in that community and you're there, you're not going to do a shoddy job because it's going to affect you.
Right. Because you live there.
You live there.
You eat dinner with these folks. You go to school with these folks.
Yeah.
You go to church with these folks. Like you see these people.
Yes. So there's multiple companies in the Madison area, Milwaukee area, Appleton, Wausau, like that, or Rochester. These are all places that we have offices that do good work,
Right.
that are going to be there, that are there for the long haul, that have their last names
On the door.
on the building and on the door and on the trucks. And they're not just going to come in and get out of here. So bottom line, we can sum this up. Make sure you know what your policy says.
Because it's changed. I guarantee you it's changed since you did it last.
Everybody's changed. Mine's changed. And it can be significant. You know, the days of like, oh, I really want a hailstorm to hit so I can get a free roof. No, you can't. No, you can't. And also don't freak out. Don't get fear mongled by a storm chaser knocking on your door. I say storm chaser. That sounds bad. I'm not trying to make that sound bad. What do I want to call that? Storm restoration worker?
Sure.
I don't know. But they send people out to knock doors to give free roof inspections. And it's not the worst thing, but there's a lot of fear pressed in there.
Right.
Get it done. Let's get it done. We'll take care of this for you. And they might do a great job. I don't know. But
we've seen enough that don't, and that's what scares me.
yeah.
Because the last thing we want anybody in our communities to get taken advantage of and be in a helpless situation where they got nothing and nobody to turn to.
It's not fun, honestly, going back to a roof that's 5 years old and then
It's
them
leaking.
having to pay for a $3,000-$4,000 restore because the contractor that did that roof didn't do a good job. And then when we look at the dates, we can see that it corresponds with a
Hail event.
with a hail event. And sometimes they don't want to admit that,
Right.
yeah, this company came, did a bad job, and they left town.
Right.
Because that would mean they made a bad decision. But anyway, I think we can do a part 2 to this. I think there's more to this. But for now, make sure you know what your policy says. And if you do get hit with hail, call a reputable company in your area that's going to be there. Let the storm chasers and all them do their thing and just stay calm.
Yeah, you don't have to be pressured into anything.
No. Like I said, unless you got a tree limb that goes through your roof, that you're going to need a rapid response, which we can help you with.
Right.
We can come and
Got
tarp
that.
that. We got that. But that's what it comes down to.
Cool.
Know what your insurance company says, your policy says, know what your deductible is, and don't freak out. Take your time.
Great
It's
advice.
okay.
Perfect.
All right?
Nice work.
All right. Until next time.
See you guys.
Appreciate it.